What's up, everybody? Welcome to the About Wellbeing podcast, episode 45. Hope you're crushing your day. Starting you off with a quote real quick. One must test oneself to see whether one is destined for independence and command. And one must do so at the proper time. One should not avoid one's tests, although they are perhaps the most dangerous game one could play, and are in the end tests which are taken before ourselves and before no other judge. Every person is a prison. Oh, Friedrich Nietzsche back at again with the bangers! So what does he mean by this? One must test oneself to see whether one is destined for independence and command. So, as of goal of, I'd say, being a best version of yourself, which is obviously what this podcast is all wrapped around, testing yourself to see whether you're destined for independence and command is a hard thing to do. That is, tests as far as career, personality, struggles, relationships, fitness, health, goals, sticking to things. And then also command, seeing if you're in a position to be a leadership. How good are you at getting commanding? Do you struggle, leading, inspiring, motivating people? Or do you get frustrated very quickly? Do you get very, just do this, just do that, rah, rah, rah. What are you destined for? And one must do so at the proper time. So I think being mindful around that, trying to do that at the age of 15 is going to be extremely difficult. But doing it at a proper time, let's say when you have some independence and you've sorted yourself out, could be better to start installing command and seeing if you're destined for it. Also, one should not avoid one's tests. I think that is one of the most important things. If you avoid the tests that life throws at you, one, you're not going to know whether you're destined for independence and command. Should you be there? Should you actually not? Does it suit you? And also, if you do avoid the tests, you're never going to know. And you'll never find out. And that, I think, can also lead to things such as depression or anxiety, a sense of feeling lost. If you don't answer these tests, because, if you are destined for independence and command, you should be out trying to do those, making an impact. Could be to your talents. Although they are perhaps the most dangerous game one could play, and are in the end tests which are taken before ourselves and before no other judge. So what they mean, most dangerous games you can play, is they are dangerous because they will completely influence your life. If you're not taking the tests and you're destined for them, you could go down a very dark hole. If you are taking the tests and you are destined for them, then that's going to be even more scary, because then you have to face yourself and you have to put yourself out of a comfort zone, which is going to be extremely personal and just crazy for you. On top of that, in the end, tests are taken before ourselves and before no other judge. So the only person that can judge you in this situation is you. You're the one that only has these tests. And just as a little side note to this, as something extra, which Friedrich Nietzsche didn't consider, which I would like to consider, is that, it is taken before ourselves and before no other judge. But if you have a really good group of friends, or people that you can talk to, or a coach that you can talk to about these things, that could be extremely important for you to reflect on. Then also, every person is a prison. So until we can break out of very small different mind prisons, we can always feel trapped. And just a little shout out, a little plug out there. I currently have some available positions for coaching, some one-on-one coaching. So if you want to work with me, learn about all this stuff, get really deep inside your mind and your physical and health fitness, and really supercharge all the results and goals in your life, send us a DM. Would love to help you out. Also, today's podcast is on my Dirch test. And also, guys, if you don't know, just a little plug. If you want to get yourself some bone broth and some of that, if you go to my website, CoreyBoutwell.com, you can get yourself a discount for bone broth. You get 12% off. How good. Currently, I also have a free training, transformation prep guide that's going out. You can get that if you go to my link tree in my Instagram or on my website. I also have a fasting course currently at the moment and a training course currently at the moment. I have a free, it's not free, I have a fasting ebook out and also a training ebook out if you'd like to have a look at those. You just have to look at my website and go through and have a little bit of look at the links on there, CoreyBoutwell.com. So just a little plug for some of those things. But yes, today we're going to go through my Dutch test. Now, Do not turn off. Listen in. This is some extremely important stuff. A Dutch test is one of the most comprehensive tests that you can get. It costs like $500 Australian, so like $350 US. I have to go and get this through and tested through a naturopath and get them to explain to me everything that's happening. I still don't get all of this stuff because the damn thing is so comprehensive and has all these different hormone pathways. It's crazy. And yes, had to get a naturopath to sit me through and help me make sense of everything that is currently happening with a Dutch test. Now, what is a Dutch test? So I ordered it online. I got dutchplus.com. Essentially, what you do is throughout the day is you do a multiple range of saliva and urine tests into a package, and essentially what is really handy for you to see is your cortisol melatonin levels. Now, if you haven't listened to my sleeping podcast, I would definitely go, or my stress podcast, I would jump on those two and listen to them. That'll explain perfectly what melatonin and cortisol does to you, but I'll give you a very brief example now. When you wake up in the morning, cortisol, which is your main stress hormone, rises in order to wake you up, to get you up and moving to crush for the rest of the day. At about midday and towards dinner time, cortisol starts to decrease big time to allow you, because it takes a lot of time for you to get into a really good rest and digest state, which could allow you to get into a really good sleep. And then when the better sleep we get, the better we wake up in the morning. Cell regeneration. That is one of the reasons why we sleep. Melatonin starts to increase, which is our main kind of sleeping, rest and digest hormone. That just tells us to clean our brain, get your body, get all the cell regeneration happening and put you through all the different sleep-wake cycles. Now, melatonin starts to increase when cortisol drops to basically nothing. That's when it starts to go up. When cortisol is up, melatonin can't go up. And you think, fuck. Now, if you're training late at night, if you're having caffeine later on the day, if you're looking at like posting on social media all the time, if you've got big stressful meetings, if you're getting stuck in traffic, and if you're doing all of these things later on in the afternoon, partying and stuff, your cortisol is going to be really high still. And it wants to start dropping like not too far out of midday. So if you're going down there, what happens? Your cortisol spikes and it takes longer for your cortisol to drop so your melatonin doesn't drop, hence why you don't get a good sleep. That is why when you're out really late at night, you're out partying, you're out drinking and stuff, the next day you go, oh God, I don't feel so well. Or if you have a couple of nights where you have had some stress nights or just some things later on in the afternoon and you've just been busy, life's caught up, and you've done that for a few nights in a row, and then you start to get the sniffles, and then maybe 2 weeks later you go, why the fuck am I so exhausted? It's like, well, your cortisol has been pumping too much, and because it's been pumping too much, your body's kind of said, no thank you, I need to chill out. Now, before we get into the Dutch test again, I just want to quickly go over the importance of cortisol and how it works, because this Dutch test is not going to make sense. Also tests for all your different hormones, all your estrogen, your estradiols, all your testosterone, all of that, and we're going to get into it. That's why I want you to listen in, because this is really important, especially like for this one on male health, like super, super, super important to know all of these different things. And there's just one main nugget from this, and I'll say it in a minute. So from cortisol, basically, is the stress hormone that gets pumped from your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands are connected to the top of your kidneys. Anytime you are stressed or need cortisol, or going to the gym, or you're stuck in traffic, or you need to be ready for a big meeting or a presentation, or you're in like a conflicting argument with someone or something like that, cortisol starts to get pumped through your adrenal glands. Now, nootropics and caffeine and coffee and a whole bunch of different sups and energy bars and Monster energy drinks smash your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands need to be highly protected. Now, some people work with adrenal different to other people. So if you notice that you're, a type A personality type, which is like someone who gets stuck in traffic and goes, fuck, 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 or, when you just want shit to happen immediately, is very type A, go, 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 and you're very extroverted, you know that cortisol is going to be a driving force. If you're someone who is in a very warrior archetype, and likes to get shit done, go out and crush your day, smash business goals, smash stock goals on the stock market, come home and keep crushing things, clean stuff up, get it done, and just constantly ticking off goals and getting stuff done, it's likely to know that you're going to be running off a lot of cortisol. Now, if you're doing this all the time and you have these personality traits, your body's going to be using more cortisol than usual. This puts stress in your adrenal glands. If you do this over a certain period of time, Let's say you start at 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, and you start thinking to like, oh man, when was the last time I had like 3 months to chill? Your body, if it's been years and your adrenal glands have been pumping out so much cortisol that they're used to it, may have a little bit of damage on them. And that's the important thing to notice. And what also goes in hand with your cortisol and your adrenal glands is your liver. So if you're like, eating can be a huge stress as well onto your adrenal glands and your liver and your cortisol. Basically because your liver's trying to detoxify everything. Now your adrenal glands and liver somehow work together with all a bunch of this stuff. I don't know the technical details in it, but a lot of the time, you will notice synchronicities between the liver and the adrenal glands for different symptoms, especially if you're someone training really hard. That makes your liver, some of the enzymes in your liver work up. If you're eating a lot of protein, charcoal meat, processed food, sugar, liver enzymes go up, which also increase cortisol to go up sometimes. So you need to focus a lot on rest and digest, which is super, super important. And I want to get that through, just that message, that in 2020, with all the different distractions and things that we've got going on, and what we want to do with our lives, is that scheduling in a little bit of time for stillness and musings. And what does I mean by musings? Musings is a period of time for self-reflection, actually self-reflecting on our life, our present, our past, our future, our goals, what we're currently doing, what we want to do, and just really reflecting, taking time to actually write it down, scribble it out. That's what I mean by musings, or like meditating, thinking about stuff that you're currently doing. Yes, extremely important, because what that does is that sort of recharges your cortisol, allows your adrenal glands in your body to heal. And one of the main things you can do for that is sleeping, exercising, breathing, focusing, having stillness and musing put in. And exercising, sleeping, eating, stillness, thinking, breathing, and then having some times to celebrate and also prosper, I think is extremely important to add into monthly, 6-monthly, yearly routines. Now, the most important thing that I can tell you from this is, which one of the main things which gave me such a light bulb moment when I went to the naturopath is, so listen in, guys. I know there are some facts coming in here, important stuff to know. Let this shit sink in. So, naturopath told me. So by the way, plug for the naturopath. If you need a good naturopath and you're in Adelaide, the Healing Arts Studio are fantastic. And you can just go to thehealingartsstudio.com and really just book in straight in their calendar, and then just rock up and be like, hello, come help me please. I want to get some blood tests. I want to get a Dutch test. I want to get some of these things. Help me sort my health out. And get me on some really good herbs to sort my body out, which is essentially what they do, because they have access to fat-soluble herbs, and fat-soluble herbs, tonics, roots, and things like that basically shit on the other stuff that you can get from iHerb or whatever it is, mainly just because the quality is so fantastic, and they have all the next-level extracts. I mean, the stuff tastes terribly bad, but sometimes what they can do is they just heal you up. Now, what happens is what you get from doctors, like if you took a Dutch test to a doctor and they said, oh, look at this, they would just prescribe you some sort of hormone, some sort of peptide, some sort of synthetic thing, which is most likely going to like fuck you up in the future. But what you do by going to a naturopath and seeing a herbalist is that it takes, a month, 2 months on a certain protocol with a different routine, having herbs, different eating, different stuff, which is going to allow your body to heal itself naturally, which is the goal. A lot of the time you do damage to yourself through stress, cortisol, hormones, working, whatever it is. It takes a long period of time for something to snap. Missed my period 3 times. Feel exhausted and feel like shit. Oh my God, I just burned and crashed out and got really sick. And I can't seem to fucking focus. Like, what is wrong with me? That has probably taken a month to years of consistent doing stuff, and for something in order for it to just go snap. And then now here is a symptom. You go see a herbalist, naturopath, they take, month, 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months to help sort you out, which I think is really important. So you can go see them. Or you can ask me. I might be able to help you out. I may have some of the knowledge that could help you. So the most important thing you can learn, which I learned from the naturopath, is this. If you get one takeaway from this podcast, it is this. You have a hormone that comes from cholesterol, right? That makes your sex hormones, right? Men, the most important hormone for us is testosterone, and we basically want to max that out. because that is, not just for health, fitness, and gaining muscle, but it really helps our brain, body, purpose, mood. It helps our sex energy. As a man, you should be waking up with the boner every day, and you should have good, lustful energy every single day. Like, if you're not feeling that, then perhaps your testosterone isn't up. And that works with everything. It helps us be a better leader, helps us be a better lover, helps us be, better king in our life, helps us figure out problems, helps us sort out what we need to do with our lives, and helps us get shit done, and also helps us to be more confident, happier, well-sustained. Every time that, we feel good as men is usually due to a testosterone hit. Yeah, and testosterone and dopamine usually work really well. Dopamine, reward systems in our brain. We get a hit of testosterone, you usually get a hit of dopamine. And there's a bunch of correlations between those two. So this is the most important thing. Sorry, I had to keep going back around there. Cholesterol basically converts to testosterone. How? Well, cholesterol turns to this hormone called pregnenolone. And then pregnenolone either converts to, here's the nuggets, testosterone or cortisol. It cannot make both at the same time. Now, you may think testosterone is, in the gym, smashing it, getting it done. Negative. We can use testosterone to help us crush it, but in the gym, no testosterone is produced. Testosterone is produced after a good workout, once your cortisol has dropped down to nothing and you've allowed time to relax. When we're in a workout, cortisol is pumping to help us smash our bodies to get stuff done. Testosterone happens when we relax. We get those endorphins feeling afterwards. We're not super stressed out after the gym. If you take time to meditate, breathe, allow your body to get into a parasympathetic state, post-gym, chances are, if you let your cortisol drop, that your testosterone is going to spike way higher than what it would if you just kept on doing some other shit, going back to work, blah, 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 blah. How realistic is that? Well, it depends. On weekends, I like to. I'll go right after the gym, do some things. But during the work week, Tuesday to Friday for me, absolute no-go. I'm straight back to work, getting stuff done. But trying to calm down as much as possible and focus on my breathing. Very interesting. Now, if you all day, basically, what also contributes to testosterone is presence, calmness, when you're meditating, when you're journaling, when you get a win, when you're in like a type of flow state, when you're not having too much caffeine, when you're getting really good sleep, testosterone is going to push up. And as well, if you're eating all the right foods, doing the right things, and you're not doing things which kill testosterone, which for men, a lot of the time, chemicals. If you're touching receipts, if you're cleaning with shit stuff and you're breathing things in, boom, see you later, testosterone. Like, real weird. There's all these different things which can contribute to reducing our testosterone as far as like being exposed to chemicals. So that's why being out in nature, going for nature walks, mountain bike riding, being out like in the garden, dirt or mud, and being present, meditating on a damn mountain like a fucking samurai monk, all of that stuff increases testosterone, being present, right? So if basically the opposite of that is happening, you have a full-time job, you're working as a trader, you're working in an office, you've got meetings, you've got work goals to crush, you're feeling tired, you've hardly got time to fucking go to the portaloo or go to the toilet because you've got so much shit on, you're trying to smash all your meals in every day, you're trying to start a business, trying to work for your family, you're trying to work, for your family, pay for a bunch of things, get everything sorted, and then try and have some chill time. It's like, too hectic. Our body does not have the time to recover for testosterone. Then we have 4 weeks holiday a year. It's like, that is not enough to get our testosterone absolutely spiking. We may as well inject some damn steroids. Don't do that unless you have a professional coach or someone that's really helped you out, or you're over the age of like 40 and you're ready to get started. My personal opinion on steroids, obviously everyone's welcome to have their own. That's just mine. So yeah, essentially, if you're looking at your day, your week, your month, and you think about how high cortisol is working, and then you think about how much testosterone stuff am I doing, a lot of the time I can tell you that it's going to be cortisol is going to be pumping. So we should be prioritizing time to let our testosterone come up. Now, for me, as someone who's, at the moment, I'm trying to start a couple of businesses. You guys can give me a round of applause if you'd like. I really love matcha, and I wasn't going to start our own brand or anything like that, but after coaching someone very close to me who has a very good e-com store and e-com business, they were said like, we should have a look at some of this matcha stuff because you love matcha. And I was like, yeah, I really do love matcha. And when I found out you can get the best stuff from the best quality places in Japan, Kyoto, and like literally talk to the little Japanese people, and they're like, arigatou gozaimashita, and like like out like very rural, having their own like sort of out where all the grapes and wines grow, except for matcha and tea leaves. Once I figured out that I could create that and make my own product, I sampled like all these different matchas and created my own matcha. It's called iThriveorganic.com. You can go over there and get some. And if you're listening to this, you can punch in the code ABoutWellbeing, and you will get a big discount off those bad boys. So that's really cool. Thought I'd little chuck that out there. I'm not putting the links or anything because I'm not launching it. But if you want some of that matcha, go over and get some. So yes, back to testosterone. Starting that business, after starting this coaching business that I have, and I'm going crazy with that, doing like client half day and full day sessions on the weekend, having multiple one-on-one clients, having group clients, having a website, doing a podcast, having a full-time job, trying to dissect all of this knowledge and learning and put it down on pieces of paper so I can crush that, as well as live in my greatest body, making sure that I'm training, being as muscle as possible because I want to win WBFF World Fitness competitions. My cortisol's through the fucking roof, man. I haven't got all the time for testosterone. I know that does sound like an excuse, but whatever, like it's just what it is, and I can obviously do better, and I'm working on it, currently working on it, although currently I'm trying to get it shredded, which is cool. Anyway, so back to the Dutch test results. Now let's just have a little look here. So I'm on my screen and it shows that in the morning my waking cortisol, so like my cortisol response when I woke up in the morning, was a little bit higher, and then when I go to bed at night time, my cortisol was also a little bit higher, which is very interesting. What does that mean? We're not 100% too sure. No, sorry. Yeah, not 100% too sure, but that's sort of how it went. My estrogen is, I'm not really sure. Like, we should have a really good even balance of estrogen as guys, but all my estrogen kind of says that it is like low within range. Probably because my body's trying to pump out as much testosterone as possible, but my cortisol is too high and not allowing my testosterone to come out. So if we're just looking at my sex hormones, which is estradiol and testosterone, my testosterone is at 81 out of 115 to 25, so higher end within range. My estradiol is at 0.65 out of a range from 0.5 to 2.20, so it is nice and low there. Testosterone is sort of just like your sex hormone, which is like your main one. There's all different types of testosterone. So the different types we have is DHEA testosterone. We have androsterone, etiocolotenolone, which is called we'll call it E-testosterone, testosterone, 5A DHT, 5A androstenediol, 5B androstenediol, and epitestosterone. So they're all the different testosterones that we've got. My pregnenolone and pregnanediol, that first one that I said, is well within range. 310 out of 400 to 75, so it's a little bit higher, which is good. So I'm getting like a good conversion from cholesterol to pregnenolone. And then my pregnenolone A is 69 out of 20 to 130. So that's sort of like smack bang in the middle of that. So I'm getting like a decent amount of pregnenolone from my diet, which is good, which is very, very good. Estrogen is a little bit low, maybe because I train so much, maybe because I went to the gym this day. Not 100% sure. I don't know much about the female hormones. I don't know whether to be happy that they're a little bit lower, so hopefully my testosterone is a little bit higher because I know that they want to work, but they're not going to work together. But I do know that if my estrogen was too high, it was not a good thing, so I'm hoping that that's okay. Yes, for the testosterone, a little bit different though. My DHEA, which is a hormone you want nice and high as a guy, is in the low end of the range. So out of 30 to 1500, I'm at 323. So there is some there. Androsterone. By the way, what is DHEA? So DHEA is produced by the adrenal cortex. So it is a testosterone hormone that is produced by your adrenals. extremely important to know. Then, let's go back to here. Androsterone. So what is androsterone? I'm just going to quickly, because some of these I Googled them beforehand so I could get onto it, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So androsterone is a steroid hormone. It's a weak androgen, and potency is 1 out of 7 testosterone, so it's nothing really too important. Androsterone is within range, god damn it, at 2,427 out of 3,000, so it's a little bit high there, but it's one of the weakest steroid hormones. The E testosterone is within range. Let me just Google this one as well real quick. So guys, be 2 seconds. So this one is a major metabolite of testosterone and androstenedione. In many mammalian species, including humans, it's excreted in the urine and is androgenically inactive. Which means sort of like androgenically, which means is it getting used as testosterone, putting it through your body, working to do things like build muscle, go through pathways, blah, 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 blah. It's sort of like your immune steroid, which is saying here. So if you get sick, usually that will come up. And for me, that is just perfectly within range. My testosterone is within range, 81 out of 115 to 21. So there's a decent amount of testosterone there. 5A-DHT is, we want some of that bad boy, although it does make your hair fall out. However, that is within range, 20 out of 5 to 25. So it's a little bit higher, which is good. For me personally, that is a little bit higher. So what is 5-DHT testosterone? And that is, because a lot of the time people who start going bald get like inhibitors for this. And I strongly recommend no, you want as much testosterone as you can get. If your hair's falling out, goddamn. This is one of your main sex hormones. And it's basically the main bad boy, it's the main bad boy, which converts to 5A testosterone and 5B testosterone. And they're the two big bad boys. So I'll get into this a little later. I know I'm talking about all these crazy different terms you haven't heard right now, but I will explain them all and they will make sense very soon. I'm just explaining what they are. So the 5-HDA is a sex hormone that you want from testosterone, which comes from the prostate gland, but it also has a effect on hair follicles, liver, brain, the bad boy enzyme, and it goes through. It's got the androgen receptors, get those cranking too. So extremely important. Then we've got 5A androstenedione. Let's just call it 5A andro, right? 5A andro is at the low end of range, 71, and it should be out of 250. And then 5B andro is nice and high, 220 out of what should be 250. My epitestosterone is at the low end of range, 33 out of what should be 25 to 115. What is epitestosterone? Epitestosterone is also known as 17A testosterone and is an androgenous steroid and an epimer, whatever the hell that is, of the androgen sex hormone testosterone. It's a weak competitive antagonist of the androgen receptor. So it's basically a potent 5A reductase inhibitor. So what that means is that it's a weaker testosterone, and essentially what it does is the epitestosterone will block the 5A andro. Now the 5A DHD testosterone and the 5A andro are the real good sex hormones. The epitestosterone is basically meaning that it is preventing, it's a weaker testosterone, and it's preventing my 5A DHT and 5A andro from getting through, which sucks. But it is at the lower end of range. So how my testosterone works and all comes together in this Dutch test. Now this is crazy, right? Just to be thinking about these, because the one of the main things from this is that you can tell that cortisol is directly affecting my testosterone. How's it doing that? So pregnenolone converts to DHEA. DHEA was that one of those main sex hormones that we had. And then that goes into the andro hormones, the 5B and the 5A. And what we really want is more of the 5A. My 5B is nice and high. My 5A is nice and high. And then that also converts to testosterone. So my testosterone is 81 out of 115, which is pretty good. My DHEAs is 323. Not too good there. So even though the 323 DHA isn't too high, it's still converting to testosterone nice and high. And then my 5B and 5A are relatively similar as far as how high they go, because they give you these dials in the Dutch test diagram. It's fantastic. So once the 5A and 5B convert to testosterone and go through the different pathways, if you look at it, it's sort of just like, pregnenolone has an arrow going straight down to DHA. DHA has an arrow straight going down to the testosterones. And then basically if you have an arrow to the left, an arrow to the middle, an arrow to the right, you got an arrow to the left is 5B, arrow to the right 5A. The arrow down the middle goes to testosterone, which converts to, again, 5B and 5A. Then what happens from there is my 5B goes nice and high. And then when I get to my 5A to the 5A DHT, it's also nice and high. But then when the 5A DHT is converted to the 5A androtestosterone, which is the used testosterone. That's the testosterone your body uses to go in and pump all the good stuff around your body and use that. It is nice and low. God damn it. And my 5A activity is low and my 5B activity is high. Now 5B is the weak testosterone that inhibits the 5A. Where does that come from? Now, if you remember how we started talking about which of the different testosterones come from the adrenal glands, it's because of that. It's getting inhibited. It's coming too much from there. My adrenal glands are a little bit too pumped and my cortisol is too high. And you can tell this because you have a look at my my cortisol levels and they test this in the Dutch test, which is crazy. I have a couple of, for in the wakings in the morning, my cortisol is above range, and then it's within range until it's basically within range until nighttime. And in nighttime it's within range, and right before nighttime it's a little bit below range. However, my total cortisol is at the high end. So, it's out of 19.3 and my total cortisol is like 18. So it's a little bit high there. And also, you can test cortisol and testosterone through the same different metabolites and how they work. This is all just different testing, which are Dutch tests. And we can tell that, it's kind of like teaching us the conversion of cortisol and testosterone, what's happening. One of them is within range, but all the rest are below range. And that's all coming from cortisol because my cortisol is a little bit too high. As well with this, my melatonin, you can see, is a little bit too low. And my cortisol melatonin perception is a little bit too low. But from my adrenals, my DHEA, so my testosterone from my adrenals, is nice and high. So what happens is that my testosterone is high, but it's not converting because of my adrenal health. So what do I do from here? Now, this is just one thing that this can tell you. This can tell you so much other stuff. Like, just to name a few what I haven't got into just yet, like I did my organic acids, you can see in here, which is another crazy test that the Dutch test provide. Shows you B12 markers, B6 markers, glutathione markers, dopamine markers, melatonin markers, and oxidative stress. Most of it is all within range, besides my dopamine, which is below range, which makes sense because my cortisol is pumping too high, so I'm constantly chasing dopamine hits, or I'm currently taking too much caffeine. Something with my dopamine stuff means that I need a little bit more of the hits there because it's low, not metabolizing, so I'm searching for it, and I'm doing that through stressful stuff instead of meditating on it and making it better. So, but we can get into that like another time because that's a whole different podcast on its own going through that. Let's just mainly go through the cortisol stuff. So what am I doing from here? So I went on a herb protocol for a whole bunch of things that can sort myself out. That include like rhodiola and I can't remember. There was a whole bunch of different herbs that I was taking to boost my testosterone. And there's quite a few that you can take. When you start looking at the natural herbs that you can take for boosting your testosterone, it is crazy. And basically what they want to do is help convert your testosterone and make it higher. Now there's Tonkat Ali, you can get that. Ginseng is extremely important. Rhodiola, rosea, ashwagandha for some people go higher. And then also making sure that your diet is optimized for you. You're removing chemicals and you're allowing time in your routine for stillness and musings. Yes, you may be crushing the gym, but if you're going straight to gym and getting onto one other thing, the gym response for testosterone afterwards isn't going to let it up. So like what do you do in this situation? Because I know that a lot of us will be suffering this. So you can go on a protocol. And to do this, you can also do things that will heal your liver, heal your adrenal glands. And what can you do for that? That's a few different teas that you can get. That is taking supplements like adrenal cortex, so actually eating like desiccated adrenals, liver powders, liver capsules, eating liver, a few different things like that. And then also looking at traditional Chinese medicine herbs, using a few of those, making sure that you're meditating during the day, making sure that you're eating extremely healthy, and getting a really good sleep. And if you do those things and reduce cortisol and add in some extra things that are going to boost your testosterone, another one would be quitting masturbation and porn. You listen to my podcast on that one. That's crazy. But making sure that you stick to it and making sure you're looking after your digestion as well. So taking some subs that are going to like a HCl from BioOptimizers or some digestive enzymes, just a bunch of these different things that you can use. And also Tribulus. Tribulus is a really good supplement to help you convert testosterone, as it's a natural androgen. It helps you convert testosterone into the different testosterones that we saw there. So guys, I hope you've taken away some nuggets from this podcast. Currently, because I don't have a list of all these different herbs in front of me, I couldn't regurgitate them all, but you can look at testosterone converting natural herbs. What you do if you notice that this is you is to set yourself a month or 2 month protocol that you follow that you're going to be very, very strict with in order to let yourself relax, digest, get through all these things. Notice when your cortisol is high, notice when your testosterone may be low, and then go out and crush it. If not, you can obviously book in any time with Healing Arts Studio in Adelaide, or find yourself a naturopath, a herbalist naturopath, who can go through. You can go buy the Dutch test online yourself, just click, boom, get the Dutch Plus test, and you can go and talk to someone about it. This stuff is super interesting. We take a lot of progress pics of ourselves a lot of the time to show our gym progress, getting lean, getting all those results. But what you can do is you can take photos essentially of the inside of your body. And that is doing things like this is the Dutch test. And it is just absolutely amazing to see. And we are so blessed in 2021 to be able and go and have a look at these tests and do the things that we can do in order to sort ourselves up. And that leaves us again with that quote that I said at the start. One must test oneself to see whether one is destined for independence and command. One must do so at the proper time. One should not avoid one's tests, although they are perhaps the most dangerous game they could play, and are in the end tests which are taken before ourselves and before no other judge. So, as just one little side effect to this, that the tests that we go through are all just mirrors holding up to ourselves. Whether they're hard to face, whether they're easy to face, whether you get excited for it, it is resilience. Because you might see in one of these tests something that you don't want to see. But it's so ridiculously important that you've got the test and you can see it so that you can prevent anything from real bad happening in the future. One must do so at the proper time. A lot of the time, with all the access to all the different tests and things that we have now, get in there and do it now. Big love, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you really liked it, share it with someone you love and have a look at some of those options for coaching discounts and the rest of it for me. And I hope you crush your day. Big love, guys. Catch ya.